Hello, Sir Earl. So before I'm going to start, I want to send first my apology to you because I know I'm not in a conventional setup and Sunday kasi sir, yung mga kapitbahay namin is nagvi-video okay. At the same time, I have no space because my space are too occupied with my siblings kasi walang work sila and so yeah, I have to migrate somewhere else just to make this activity the soonest time possible. And if ever it won't bother you that much, allow me to do this way. Right? So let's do this. Okay, so to those who are watching this, it's a pleasant moment to be with you guys once again. For the second time around, good day, sir. Now I'm going to talk about the three parasites under nematodes, and this includes the Ascaris lumbricoides, the Trichuris trichura, and the hookworms. And I'm going to present this parasite with a short description together with a detailed explanation regarding their life cycle. Okay, so without causing you much delay, let's begin. So the first parasite that I'm going to introduce is a parasite that known to cause ascariasis among humans, and it is also considered to be the largest parasitic worm that can be found in a human definitive host. And we call this the Ascaris lumbricoides. And the life cycle of this parasite begins with an adult worm. The adult worm can live in the lumen of the small intestine, and then um, it is the adult females can produce approximately 200,000 eggs per day, which can be passed via feces. So the unfertilized egg of adult female may be ingested but are not infective. So the larvae will develop into its infectivity within the fertile eggs around 18 days or several weeks depending on the environmental condition. And the environmental condition for the survival of the larvae or the egg itself should include the optimum moist, warm, and shaded soil. So after the infective eggs are swallowed, the larvae hatch in the small intestine and then it invades the intestinal mucosa and are carried via portal and then systemic circulation to the lungs. The larvae into that location in the lungs will mature further and it is around 10 to 14 days for its maturation. And then after that, it infects or it penetrates the alveolar wall, then ascend to the bronchial tree, then to the throat, and are swallowed once again. So upon reaching the small intestine, the larvae, the mature larvae, will develop into adult worms, and it is between 2 to 3 months from the ingestion of infective eggs to the oviposition of adult females, and then the life cycle of this parasite can last only 1 to 2 years. So the second parasite that I'm going to introduce is a parasite known to cause trichuriasis in humans. This is in particular to those children who live under rural areas where sanitation is unclear. And we call this parasite as the Trichuris trichura. The life cycle of this parasite begins with an embryonated egg. The embryonated, excuse me, the embryonated egg of the Trichuris trichura can be passed via feces, and in the soil, they develop into a two-cell stage, an advanced cleavage stage, where they embryonate and becomes infective after 15 or 30 days. So after the ingestion of soil-contaminated hens or foods, the egg hatch into the small intestine and it releases larvae where they establish and mature themselves as adult into the colon. So the adult worms that are approximately 4 centimeter in length can live in the cesium and in the ascending colon, and adult worms are fixed in that location where the anterior end are threaded into the mucosa. The females may begin to oviposit 60 days to 70 days from the infection, and females may shed eggs around 3,000 to 20,000 eggs per day. And the life cycle of this parasite can last only 1 year. So here is the third parasite that I'm going to introduce. So this is the last parasite and we call this the hookworm. So as we know that um, there are two commonly known hookworms that can cause disease to human, and we have here the Ancylostoma duodenale and the Necator americanus. So the life cycle of this parasite begins with an egg. The egg can be passed via feces and under favorable condition, including the optimal warm uh, moisture and a shaded soil. So the larvae will hatch around 1 to 2 days and become free living in a contaminated soil. So this releases rhabdiform larvae that can grow in the feces and or in the soil. So after 5 to 10 days and 2 molts, the radiform will become filariform or the third stage larvae that can cause infection to human. So this particular infective larvae can survive 3 to 4 weeks in a favorable environmental condition. And on contact with the human host, the larvae will penetrate the skin and are carried through the blood vessels to the heart and to the lungs. So they will penetrate the pulmonary alveoli and then ascend to the bronchial tree to the pharynx and are swallowed once again. So the larvae will reach the jejunum of the small intestine where they reside and mature as adult. And um, and adult worms live in the lumen of the small intestine, most particularly in the distal jejunum where they attach to the intestinal wall, and that can cause resultant blood loss to the human host. And most of the adult worms can be eliminated 1 to 2 years, but the longevity of the elimination of these worms can last for several years. And so I guess that's all I can say as of now. Thank you so much for your time and thank you so much for listening. God bless and stay safe.